My eye is red. With that out of the way, let's get on to the show. As you all can clearly see, my eye is very red. Yeah, it got infected over the weekend. I haven't been able to do videos. I haven't been able to do a lot of the things that I really need to do. But I thought, just to get my mind off things, why don't I make an episode about vampires versus werewolves? And after all, it is the month of Halloween. What better time is there to do it? So I'm going to decide this by 3 categories. 1, a battle royale where they fight it out and we see who's mightier. 2, which one would I rather exist? And 3, which one captures us emotionally more? Which one would we rather be? So this is going to be a very close one, and I should mention that Dracula was not able to make it for this episode. He had some other things going, a monster conference, and it's just real life. That's just sometimes how it works out. But I hope to have him on another episode. But with that said, let's see which one bites more. So when I was a kid, I used to think that vampires were the wusses of the monster kingdom. It seemed that pretty much anything could kill them. Garlic, a stake through the heart, daylight, pretty much anything with religious significance. And werewolves didn't seem to have as many weaknesses. Basically, the only thing that could kill a werewolf was a silver bullet through the heart. But, as I grew older, I realized it's not that simple. We have to keep in mind that there are a few rules to a battle royale. So, rule number 1, no preparation time. If you're going to use your mind in a fight, you have to use it while you're fighting. And rule number 2, you're not allowed to carry any utensils that you wouldn't normally carry in a fight. So, for instance, if you're going up into a battle with Godzilla, unless you carry a nuclear bomb around with you all the time, you're not allowed to use it. But with these rules in mind, it still would be a very close battle, and really, it would just be a tie. Because werewolves and vampires are both immortal, they would just fight each other till the end of time. But there are some things that could sway this in the vampire's favor. For instance, if we assume in this battle royale that the environment could change, then eventually the full moon's going to fade away, and since the night stays around longer than the moon, at least with the full moon's light would fade away before the night was completely over, then the vampire would win because the werewolf would become human form and the vampire could just kill it. But there's some things that sway this in the werewolf's favor too. For instance, the werewolf's much mightier and stronger than the vampire, could just rip it apart. And while this would technically mean the vampire wasn't dead, it's pretty much game over for the vampire. So actually, I do think the werewolf would win in this fight, because the werewolf could tear the vampire into pieces, and then it would be daylight, and the vampire would be dead, but really, neither one of them would win. But we'll just say the werewolf wins to end this story. And don't try to give me all that stuff about a werewolf biting a vampire, or a vampire biting a werewolf, and there being a were-vam hybrid. Because I haven't been able to find anything about that in old mythology, and as far as I'm concerned, Boogeyman number 1 on your fanfic page is not a reliable source. So, werewolf wins this one. At first, this one seems obvious. Vampires would win. Because werewolves, they're just monsters. They'll just destroy anything that comes into their paths. Whereas vampires you could at least reason with. But I do think there are some things to say in defense for werewolves. Werewolves only change during the full moon, and that only happens once a month. So you're not going to have to deal with it all that much. I mean, if it's a cloudy day, they won't turn anyways. And also, you could always use them as weapons, fight in, like, Iraq or Russia or wherever you want to have a battle. People that have werewolves would be the clear winners. But yeah, I will have to go with vampires anyways, because again, it's just, they have minds, we could always reason with them, we could donate some of our blood, that has worked in popular fiction here recently, and I'd just rather have something that I control in comparison to something that is just beyond our control, that would just be like a hurricane. So, vampires win this one. And now we come to the final category, and the most important. Which one do we emotionally connect with more? This is a tricky one, because at a deep level we connect with both. But I have something to say for the vampire. Vampires are smart, they're sexual, they're everything we want to be. And the werewolf, there's also to be something to be said for them. They represent what we used to be. These wild beasts that could just destroy everything in their path. And I think all of us kind of want to go back to that time, even if we don't realize it. But in the end, I have to go with the vampire, because the thing is, vampires represent us as gods, whereas werewolves represent us as animals. And I think we all really want to be gods more than we want to be animals. So that's my decision. I can't believe I'm telling that to my little kid self, but yeah, I guess vampires are the winners. And so, vampires are the winners. I should mention that this one was probably the closest of any of my Versus episodes. Vampires and werewolves just edged each other out on each category. But in the end, it went to vampires. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I think I made the best decision I could make. I should mention that according to the Fireside Tales, werewolves don't even exist. It's only vampires, so there's also that. But anyways, I thought I'd just end off with another improv theater. I've got a special one for you. I made sure that no matter what, it have something to do with werewolves or vampires. So, let's just go to the hats and see what we get.
And now it's time for improv theater.
Alright, today's character is Dracula. That's a good one. And the place is Dracula's castle. Well, that matches. Whoa ho ho ho! I am here in my castle, and I am looking for some babes. It is getting dark. It is time for the ladies to come to Dracula. Ladies of Dracula are always really sexy. Except that one, she's like a bot and she had all this goo on her and it was really kind of scary. Who am I kidding? I'm all alone. But I do have you all. Look into my eye. Are there any women out there? You will come to the home of Dracula. You will listen to my red eye. Listen to it. Go to Dracula's castle and kiss Dracula and other stuff. Do it. Do it. Do it.